Hash 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 whispers from the deep. It was the summer of 2023 when Ellie and her friends decided to spend their vacation in the Scottish Highlands. The legends surrounding Loch Ness had fascinated them for years. Stories of a mysterious creature lurking beneath the surface, evading all attempts at discovery. Ellie, a history enthusiast and aspiring writer, envisioned herself capturing the essence of these legends in her notebook. The first few days were spent exploring quaint villages, tasting haggis, and hiking along the shores of the loch. The mesmerizing landscape was a backdrop to both excitement and eeriness. Each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ellie would sit by the water, scribbling notes and listening to the whispers of the wind. One day, as the friends prepared for a trek to Urquhart Castle, Ellie decided to pursue a more secluded part of the shore. The others laughed and waved her off, assuring her they'd meet her back at the castle. Clutching her notebook, Ellie wandered farther away, the distant laughter of her friends fading behind her. The trail twisted and curled, tangled with gnarled tree roots and overgrown ferns until she found a small rocky outcrop that jutted out over the water. She settled in, the calmness of the loch drawing her in, its surface smooth as glass. The day wore on, and Ellie was lost in her thoughts, crafting tales of Nessie that mixed fact with folklore. What if she's an ancient guardian? Ellie mused aloud, her voice barely rising above the gentle lapping of water against the rocks. What if all these sightings are just a prelude to something bigger? As twilight crept in, Ellie stood to return to her friends, but something caught her eye. Ripples. At first, they appeared innocuous, like small waves caressed by the wind. But then, the surface shimmered in the fading light, drawing her attention. Her heart raced. Was it possible? Was Nessie really down there? The ripples grew. Something massive shifted beneath the water. Panic fluttered in her chest, but her curiosity was undeniable. She pressed herself against the rock, peering into the murky depths. Suddenly, she gasped as a dark shape rose just beneath the surface, towering almost like a shadowy mountain. It swayed slowly, almost seductively, before disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. Ellie staggered back, her breath quickening. Doubts washed over her. Was this the true Loch Ness Monster, or merely a trick of her mind? The stories played like a tape in her head, each recounting the terror and majesty of the creature. Uncertain but intrigued, she resolved to stay a little longer. The darkness encroached, the sun finally surrendering to the night. As Ellie fumbled with her phone, desperate to capture the moment, an unnatural stillness enveloped the area. She felt an unsettling presence creeping around her, the wind a whispering breath against her neck. It's just the wind, she whispered to herself, gathering her courage. Then, a low rumble echoed from the depths of the loch, breaking the silence like glass shattering. The ripples exploded outward, harsh and wild. Adrenaline surged as Ellie stepped back, scanning the water for the source. Then, like a nightmare unfolding, a gigantic head emerged, a long neck adorned with glistening scales that shimmered like the constellations above. Ellie dropped her phone, fear paralyzing her limbs. The creature's eyes glowed, ancient and profound, as they locked onto hers. A wave of dread surged through her. The legends had been true, but this wasn't the benevolent guardian she had imagined. This was something otherworldly, watching, lurking, waiting. In a horrid moment, it opened its massive maw, a gaping chasm of razor-like teeth, and in that instant, Ellie felt an overwhelming sense of foreboding. Her heart thudded in her chest, and time seemed to suspend. She had to run. The earth tremored beneath her as the creature let out a chilling roar, reverberating through the night like thunder. At that moment, Ellie found her legs. She sprinted, the damp ground slipping beneath her feet as terror propelled her toward safety. The roar echoed behind her, a distant growl that sent shivers down her spine as she dashed toward the path. Desperation fueled her escape, and she didn't look back until she reached the castle. Panting, she stumbled into the flickering glow of her friend's campfire. They turned, puzzled by her disheveled appearance as she recounted her terrifying encounter. "Nah, you must have imagined it," Jake chuckled, tossing a twig into the fire. "You're just tired." Ellie shook her head, unable to believe their dismissive attitudes. That night, she lay awake in her tent, haunted by the creature's gaze. What if it was truly a guardian of the loch, a being that had outlived time itself? Or maybe it was a curse, a dark reminder of ancient lore that no one should tamper with. The next morning, when they returned to the shore, the water lay calm and unassuming, the monster an afterthought lost to skepticism. But Ellie knew better. She saw the darkness that lingered beneath the surface, a mystery wrapped in shadows, the whispers from the deep. And though her friends laughed it off, Ellie could feel the loch's heartbeat echoing in her own, a timeless call that warned her to never return.